And here we are today, everyone. I'm super excited. Me and Anna have been trying to get together. I don't know. It seems like about 3 to 6 months, Anna. So Thank you so much for fitting me into your schedule and accommodating mine. Let me introduce Anna. She is a mind-body coach. She's a mindset mentor, fitness and nutrition specialist. She's a speaker. She's also an author. She's an Olympian. She's a mum. She's also founder of M.O.V.E, a self-discovery and transformation program. She's lived the life of an Olympian, an elite athlete, an Ironman, a trainer, a coach, a mum, and along the way, she's learned just how important mindset, nutrition, and tuning into our emotions and her emotions, and how our energy helps us, I guess, for a better, healthier, more fulfilled life. So welcome, Anna. I'm super excited. This is honestly, it seems like we have different schedules all the time. So thank you so much for jumping in today. And I just saw on your not recent, probably a couple of weeks ago, actually. What's your latest thing? What have we achieved lately?
Oh, yes. I decided to enter a race that I'd never raced that format before. So mountain bike race just came up, and it was the nationals. I was like, oh, I haven't had a title yet. In all my years of racing, I didn't quite get that national title. So I've entered the enduro, gravity enduro it's called. So it's combined sort of downhill, a little bit of cross country. And
mountain biking?
Yeah, mountain biking, yeah. And I won. So I was like, yes, I have a medal now. I have the Australian jersey as a national champion. Yay!
Oh, can you just share with me, like you've been an athlete for a really long time, and we'll just tap into that shortly. How did that feel? Like, when was the last time you've competed at that level, walking away, being the winner, the gold?
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while since I've competed at that level. In saying that, I did retire in 2010. Yeah, so it's been 12 years since I retired. I finished off with Hawaii Ironman. That was my sort of send-off. It was almost like I started with the Olympics. It happened really quick. I was only in the sport a year. Olympics, Com Games, and then send-off was Ironman.
So did you do was that in from Australia, or did you move overseas to do the trip?
I moved, yeah. So I based myself in Germany. Yeah.
So was your passion at the time?
Yeah, definitely. Passion is what I've followed my whole life, is my passion. Yeah. Yeah. So I gave that a go and had a crack, and I was like, oh, I can still do this. Yeah.
So how did it feel walking away with gold?
It felt incredible. It felt like I was super excited, and the thing was, this was a different lead up. It was different preparation to when I was full-time professional elite. Yeah. This was going in as a master. It was going with more fun aspect, was the whole process, I guess. Well, even though I only got in a week before because I was on the wait list, but it was a lot.
There was no planning. Is that what you're trying to say? There was no planning involved?
No, there was no planning. There wasn't much training. There was just going by past experience.
Yeah, how does someone do that? Like, how do you compete an event?
Drawing on my past helps a lot. There's a lot of deep belief that I'm a very, very, an exceptional mountain biker in terms of skill. So very much skill, and I have a fitness level that I can maintain, or I do maintain, through very smart training, because I've done a lot of hours, incredible amount of hours that I'm like, okay, I've done enough of that. I just need to maintain. Yes. So going into it, having that self-belief, that I can do this, that anything's possible. One of those beliefs that just has been with me forever, that anything's possible, dream big, follow your dreams. So it felt incredible being in a different position going in. Not as the elite athlete, but less pressure, more fun. I just went and practiced a week before, having fun with friends, just enjoying the environment more, because when I was an athlete, I found I really was so focused on the outcome. I think I've traveled the world, and I did not see the world. Yeah. And this is something I think, big learning for me. And what I teach my clients is it's about the process, about the journey. And for me, I've learned that through having that experience of being a professional athlete, traveling the world. And like I said, just having that one, such a focus on the race and just not going sightseeing or just a little uptight perhaps. So going into this race, winning it, having gold, it was all the inner joy. Yeah, and I got to share it with my friend that was there with me, and that was special too. And a boy that I coach, a young up and coming champion, he was there too. And just a lot of people from the mountain bike scene that I'd grown sort of, seen along the way, catching up with them. I was like, I hadn't seen them for years. And it was fun. It was a whole lot of fun.
So what was your biggest takeaway or learning, I guess, from competing in totally different events?
Yeah, that I believe it would be that it's not just about that outcome. The outcome is a bonus. But it's the process. It's the process we go through. So yes, it was a surprise to get the entry because I was on a wait list. So that was awesome. I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So I better go practice. So I went down with a few boys that I train, a few BMX champions that I went with, and they're young kids, and we just had a ball. We just went and did all they showed me a few little, these are the tricky sections, Anna, you have to be careful here. Because it is quite a risky, dangerous sport.
That's because the injuries are quite significant, right? So you're always going to do hips and knees and ankles. So that's going to take you out of action.
You can. You can. It's there. But again, the focus is always been for me on getting down the mountain safely. So I do a lot of visualization, a lot of beforehand, and I've done that forever. Right? That's just ingrained, and I do it now with my coaching and my future and where I'm headed is that visualization of not seeing myself crash. No, I don't. That's not what I see. I see totally different. I see myself winning. I see myself in a jersey on like this on the podium. So it does help.
Is that part of your, because I know with the elite athletes anyway, a lot of visualization has been happening for the last 10 and 20 years. So, and also as a coach now. So walk us through how often you would do that. And if anyone else has got a specific goal or an outcome that they're trying to achieve, what would be maybe 3 tips that you would share with people that could be useful for them?
Firstly, having a goal is great. So we do need that goal, that end vision. And being able to visualize it is very important. The other part of it is speaking about it. Telling people about it. So this is huge for me, right? Because you can just have a goal and it can be in your head, right? And you can just keep it for yourself. Once you start telling people about it, you're really coming from that purpose. Talking about it, expressing it. It's real now. Okay. Then the next part, the third one is I find the most important, because you can visualize all you want, but when you bring in emotion, this is the next part, right? The body. So you're connecting your mind, which has the visual. You're coming into your body through your voice, expressing, and then the heart. That's where it's at. It's the emotion. So me seeing myself on that podium in the Australian jersey with the medal, and the emotion that flooded in before the event had happened, right? So creating your future before it happens, but with the emotion to get you there. So it brings you in motion. And I think that is the number one thing that I think I did automatically as an athlete in my past, but integrating that and learning more about that to guide my clients, to anyone that has a goal or a vision, to be able to bring that to life, because that can often be the blocker. That there's no emotional drive behind it, no pull of that emotion to get there.
And what's the difference between people that, because you've obviously worked, you've been in the Olympian lifestyle, and then you've now, coached hundreds, I guess, of athletes, and always been a role model for a lot of other athletes out there. What's the difference for people that don't put the time and energy into visualization, or is that just a given nowadays? Because
I think for athletes, yes, definitely it is a given. All athletes do it. Okay, it's more so now I do quite a lot of coaching in just normal everyday people. They're not so much athletes, so I've veered away from that. I do have a couple. I do stay in that scene, but for me it's more that the wider range of workers, whoever they be. It doesn't matter who they are, business people or just everyday, people wanting to have better relationships. Yeah, you can visualize a relationship. It doesn't have to be this I guess what we all sort of a condition for success, right? It can be just wanting to have a goal of a loving relationship, okay, and visualizing yourself in one of those and the feelings that come with that. So it's veered away a lot from the success, and I think that for me has been the transition from the identity of an athlete, which I hold on to a lot of attributes still.
Yes.
However, softening into more of a someone that's able to not be so driven by that, again, success. Yeah. So,
and can you share with us then, because most people think that, and I'm not saying you don't have your shit together, but most people just think, you're really successful, you're an athlete, you've had the Olympian lifestyle, your whole world has been focused and driven. There's going to be areas, because people, just look up and they go, well, you must be this and you must be that. So everyone labels everybody, right?
Yeah.
In order to be that person, you needed to think a certain way. And so when you think that way, you're going to create that lifestyle. And now that was an identity, and now you've shifted that. So what has the transition been like for you, and why did you feel it necessary to go on that journey and now help even more people with that journey? Because you're so passionate about this.
Yes. And it's a great question, because it has been a challenge, an absolute challenge. That identity of an athlete has been so ingrained in me from a very young age. Very young age, I was competitive in every sport. I played tennis. I was in McDonald's squad. I played at the tennis center. It was just, everything was aligned with playing sport and being great at it. All right. And then came into the mountain biking, came into Ironman triathlon, which is one of the hardest things you could ever do.
I'm like, Hawaii, really?
The most craziest thing, actually. That's a test of your mental capacity. I was going to say another word, but so yeah, the transition was tough because it was so ingrained. Everything I did, I woke up for, you could say, 45 years, perhaps, maybe 43. The last 3 years, I'm almost 46. I've really shifted. And I have a child, he's 9. Yeah. So the athlete with being a mum is kind of, can't be competing against my 9-year-old son. It helps him become, step into whatever he's going to be. But in relationships, I've found that they're challenging. To have that athlete mindset has been, for me, a challenge where I've noticed in relationships that things perhaps need a shift, right? That's where the shift comes. And yes, all the attributes I still have that, that sort of create that space I'm in now as a mind-body coach, to be able to be there for others, just to be that I am very much an action taker. Yeah, and a lot of my clients are stuck, right? So they come to me, the action taker, quite good at that. And it was more the relationship. So for me, it was more connection. A lot shifted in terms of not just being that one selfish. And I will say I was extremely selfish. Looking after my health still is number one, because without our health, we have one goal, right? And I know you know what that is, to get healthy. With our health, it's just open. There are endless possibilities, endless goals, endless dreams. And for me, it was the shift to come out of the selfishness to contribute, because I have a lot to contribute. So shifting from the selfish, like, Anna, you're holding on to all this information. I still have to pull myself in line and go, hang on, you've still got a lot to give, Anna. You're still holding on to this. And it's that athlete, that, you're in that mode of looking after yourself. And that's the other thing, when clients come, a lot of them aren't great at looking after themselves. So I'm like, okay, you're with the right person here. I've done that for a lot of years, in terms of nutrition, mindset, everything, getting out in nature, all this holistic approach that enables us to be healthy for one, and then live into our values and have a really healthy, happy life. And the shift it's been great, for relationships, for my son, being able to step out of the athlete identity and just be me under the athlete, because that's again something we do. We take on these identities when we, as you know, again, we become that person. So it's been conscious effort. Okay, I know you're not an athlete, you've retired. I almost had to say you've retired now. So going back into this race a month ago was like, oh, it was like okay, I'm going in as a master. I'm not going in as the athlete.
Yes, right.
So yeah, the transition, to answer your question, has been a challenge, but it's also been so rewarding to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what are the rewards that you're seeing now in yourself?
Huge rewards in connection. Yeah, so I would have sort of associated myself as more of a lone type person. So being on my own, wanting my own space. And this comes from my childhood defining moment where I've revisited. I went away when I was 12 to Switzerland with a neighbor without parents. We stayed with his grandparents. They didn't speak English. So 2 weeks I was there with them before my friend's parents came, but that shifted everything for me. I decided I was going to do life on my own. There was no one there for me. A lot of decisions made or meaning taken on board by that young 12-year-old. A lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, pain, which then drove me to be that athlete, which did help. But again, back to answering your question, I've come back to me through doing that. Connecting to me has been the biggest part of healing the trauma, coming back, releasing that emotion, being able to connect more with myself as who I am and not the athlete, but everything underneath that, which is there's so much more, and we can discover what's behind an identity that we've taken on at a very young age. And those connections, my son and I, it's beautiful. Yeah, I can hold space for him. Like before, an athlete, I just got on with things. Get back on your bike, right? That's what I did. I broke bones and got back on. Like I just literally was in that. In terms of the emotional space, I wasn't very much in tune with it, and that in itself reflected in my relationships. And so now, beautiful relationship with my son. I can teach him about emotions, about being balanced, because I wasn't very balanced, and having great relationships and connections and connecting with clients and building community. So all these things underneath, which is incredible now to talk about, that selfish athlete. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you refer to being an athlete as selfish. So tell me about that. Yeah, because it's a solo journey, right? It's extremely disciplined.
Well, especially the sport I chose to be in. I chose every time individual sports. So tennis was very individual. I went on to do the mountain biking individual, Ironman, very individual and solo. And you really need to look after yourself. You need to get your training done, right? You need to get the sleep. So sleep's so important, your food. So there's all these things that align, I guess, with what I would call selfish, because you're not considering anyone else. I wasn't considering my partners. I wasn't considering my family. I left Australia and lived in Germany for 12 years. I left all my family, my friends, to follow that dream and identity and live that athlete life, because the racing world was in Europe. Australia didn't offer the same. So it was almost like you had to go overseas to pursue that. So there was a lot of selfishness, putting me first. 100%.
And when you think about you putting you first now, like we're both, emotional intimacy coaches. So we've learned a lot, about having those relationships and being open and vulnerable and sharing our truth and owning our own truth.
Yeah.
What do you think what's your biggest takeaway from who you used to be to who you've become through that emotional intimacy training? And how do you see that benefiting your clients now?
Yeah. And this is such a beautiful area for me, witnessing my clients going into that emotional space. For me, being able to do that first, to lead the way and go, I'm healing. And I tell my clients now, I said last week I had a trigger. And I'm just real. I had a trigger, and this is how I work through it. So I guess, yeah, having that space to feel your emotions, to be able to connect on an emotional level and have the emotional intimacy or intelligence, I guess, to be able to recognize it, yeah, that this is an emotion, this is real, yeah, this is happening. Because from conditioning, perhaps not being told not to cry, perhaps these things that we all sort of go through, where our parents didn't know any different, they were told not to cry. So, and it just comes automatically. And I did that with my son the first few years before I did this journey. I'd be like, you'll be right, get up, don't cry. Like, yeah, that's how we roll, right? But now, knowing that it's so important, and when we can have these moments of connecting back to our emotions and revisit these perhaps memories to where we've abandoned ourselves in that moment. We just don't know it. You know, when we haven't felt that emotion, there's that self-abandonment. So when I have a moment, or when clients have a moment, it brings me so much joy. And it sounds horrible because it's a painful experience, can be painful to feel these emotions, but it's just that moment of connection to your inner child, connection to these times in your life where you had no one to hold you, and then you're holding your own self in a safe space. And that makes, for me, that's made an immense difference in my growth, has been the emotional. Because like I said, mindset, we can have a super strong mindset, yeah, which is very important to know what your thoughts are, know what your beliefs are, to get to know that, very important. But also the emotions, just not to disregard those, because they bring true connection. When you are able to feel them, release them, they bring connection with you, and then you have that opportunity to have these amazing connections with others on a deeper level.
Yes. And I love how you've just said, you know, like we take satisfaction, immense satisfaction, out of helping people through a process where they don't even know that they're stuck, but it's having such a significant impact on their life in an unresourceful way. And then to be able to connect them to their inner child and feel all of them is one of the most magical gifts that I think as coaches, especially emotional intimacy coaches, that we can give people. And I just like listening to you and watching your body language when you talk about it, I just have goosebumps, because it just lights me up that we have this skill set that we've both explored ourselves, because I've coached with you, and it's like, you know, you've given me that gift, and, you know, I've forwarded that gift on to other people. So knowing that we are in a position where we don't actually have to allow them to struggle for longer than what they've already been struggling is just, nothing makes me more happy. And I can see in your eyes, it's just like we're on the same page. It's like, you know, it's how beautiful that if this is our contribution to the world, to help people through something that we've both experienced. And the journey isn't easy.
No.
We have identities, and society see different people in different ways, but it's how we choose to see ourselves. And the other thing I really loved is the relationship with your son.
Yeah.
And, you know, like for mums out there, what advice could you give them about, you know, helping their children explore their emotions? And, you know, we all grew up in a time where shit had to get done. We were all coming from a scarcity mindset. Parents were both working, they had to do everything they could to put stuff on the table. They had parents that were not emotionally available to them. You know, the emotional maturity of our parents, let alone me before I started the journey 5 years ago. It's like, what do you mean emotional maturity? Like my 7-year-old was running the show, man. So for mums out there, that, this is new to them, what would you recommend to them? Like, you know, like this has been a great learning for you. What advice would you give to mums if they think, oh, that's me? I shut my children's feelings down.
Well, first be kind to yourself and have some compassion, because often when you know, I teach my clients and say, you know, they perhaps have an aha moment of, oh, I'm shutting my child's emotions down. It's that compassion, giving that to yourself, that you didn't know any better, right? Because when we know more, we can do it differently, right? So first, that compassion and kindness for self is important, and it's getting on their level, And I think for me, experiencing my son, first I would say it's my own healing, because when we heal as mums, our kids heal. So I found these amazing patterns where I'd heal a trauma, and my son the next day would release. And we wouldn't know why. Like, I didn't know why. He was just having crying, and I could hold him in his emotion, knowing, giving him safe space. Even if he was kicking and screaming, he didn't want me around, I knew he needed me. And that's, I think, a key for when you're with your kids, knowing they actually need you. They don't need you to storm off. They might want you to, or might express anger in a way that you're like, oh, I better leave them alone, but no, they need you. So I think it's the same for an adult. Nothing changes. We need someone when we are experiencing emotion. We need to be held in a safe space. We need to be heard. All right. So listening to your kids. We need to mirror their sadness. Get down and go, I can, and really in your face go, oh, I can see you're really sad. So they know that's sadness, and that's okay to be sad. Otherwise, if you're on the other end going, don't cry, they're like, well, then they interpret it's not okay to be sad. It's not okay to be me. All right. And then they see you sad, but you're allowed, they're not. And then it all spirals, to them really thinking there's something wrong with me. That's where shame comes in. So the biggest tip, yes, is to do your own healing is a big one. Okay. Do your own emotional healing so that you can hold space for your child. Because I know before mine, I couldn't stand him crying because I dealt with my own tears. I couldn't stand it. He came out a cry baby. He literally did not stop crying. It was almost like universe going, Anna, you got to deal with your crying.
Lesson to learn, right?
It took me a while to figure that one out though. And holding space, really mirroring them so that they know what that emotion is, so they feel safe. Giving that your child's safety is number one, that they feel safe feeling their emotions. And it's like us as adults, when you have a friend, partner that's feeling an emotion, that safe space. So holding space, listening, reassuring, validating that it's okay to cry, validation. It's okay to be sad. I can understand why you're sad. I can imagine that really hurts. All these validating words of reassurance that it's okay to feel. We don't need to run from it or suppress it, because that leads to a lot of different complications, all right, in your body. So I'm a big believer if we're suppressing that emotion, all right, there's distress in the body that leads to, over time, can manifest as illness or disease. So it's a health journey to do, and that's the association I've made with it. Is okay, feeling's healthy. All right, for me, that was the mindset of it, because before I was like running from it. I literally would run. I would go for a run. If I felt something, I would go for a run, for a ride. Avoidance. I'd avoid any way I could. And that's where feeling emotion, and especially what I realize and see with my clients, is they gain relief. And this is one word that everyone is chasing: pain relief, right? Pain relief from the pain and the suffering, right? And that's where alcohol comes in, drugs, right? All these addictions, porn, food, emotional eating, right? They're finding relief and comfort in it. Yes, it's only short term, but they don't realize that, and then go back for more. So for me, for a client to have that relief in a session after feeling, or my son, okay, is that's the moment where I just go, oh, yes.
Because that's the gift, I guess, for both of us, is that when we can have that breakthrough with clients and they're doing all the work, that's the gift that keeps giving, because we've been the receiver of that. And when we can love that part of us that we've been repelling or running away from, or as you say, numbing or running, and we've all got our addictions. All got, whether it's workaholic, whether it's athlete, whether it's, like you say, porn addiction or gambling or drugs, we try to run from them. We're running or numbing. And when we really sit with our emotions, and we've just released our Body by Design, our emotional eating program, and what you just said there is a lot of women are now starting to figure out that they're suppressing those emotions. They're never going to take control of emotional eating until they acknowledge the emotion. But we're never taught this.
No.
We're never taught that our emotions are supposed to be validated. And what I love here is And I've coached a lot of mums that this is what they end up saying. Ish, I can't handle my child. Ish, she stops crying. You can't stop crying.
Yeah.
And it's a common theme, because we're in a women's only gym.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you coach my 14-year-old? And I'm like, absolutely. They come to me after a session and go, I don't know what you did, but you've sorted him or her out. And then they come into coach. And then they come 3 or 4 months and they're like, ish, it wasn't them, was it? you must have that too, right? Because they're like having that. I've done the journey for myself, and now I can give to my child, because like you just said about crying, and I'm curious if this comes up with your clients, when their children are crying, they're getting really irritated. So instead of being able to acknowledge that, because it's a trigger for them, it's that, what are you crying for? And because it's a trigger, they don't want to see crying. They feel like they're out of control. Is that I want to normalize this for women, because they think it's just them.
Yeah, no, it's a moment when we, as mums, when you're witnessing, it's painful to witness your child going through that hurt, that emotion. Yeah, no one wants to witness that. Okay, but it does help when we have done our own. Yeah, it really does. And it's the education that's vital. Yeah, vital education about how to feel an emotion. Like you said, we're not taught how to feel an emotion. And this is what I teach my clients. And I run a program as well. So M.O.V.E, it's called, where I get women moving, move outdoors, variety education. All right. So I'm combining that whole actually moving while you're getting educated, you're getting outside, getting the energy of nature, grounding, breathing, that connection. All right. And a big part of it is emotions. And I hold a workshop on emotions, because that, out of all the information I'm presenting, I've found that to be a real key for people to actually be able to move forward. Because that's the anchor perhaps to the past. It's, feeling where people feel so stuck, right, in the emotion. They're stuck in the emotion. Yeah, the thought process is important, because there we create the emotion in our body. So looking at it from both perspectives, mind, body, but to come back to that energy, the energy of emotion. And it's what we do with that energy. And the irritation from mums, I felt that too. I felt that irritation and that, wanting to just walk off or leave my child. And again, it's really coming back to the present moment. It's not about me. And I think that's a big one to go away with, is in that moment, it's not about me. Because if you're bringing your own triggers in, it's going to end up in conflict. All right. And the child won't feel safe, or your partner just crosses over. So it's in that moment, it's not about me. Yeah. And if your stuff is coming up, then it's space. You need someone to take over, if it's the other partner, parent, or if it's in a relationship and you're both in this emotional turmoil, then space. Come back again after you've sort of had that moment to feel, and that's the keys, is feel to heal.
I was just going to say, that's a really good way to wrap up our session today, is both of us are firm believe, probably our number one value for both of us is certainly health.
Yes.
That's why we've always connected over these years.
Yes.
The feel, you need to feel to heal. And we've both experienced that. We've resisted our own feelings, I had issues with my own health. And now our passion is to be able to help other people explore their emotions, so that they don't have to struggle with the turmoil that we do. So you're based in Melbourne?
I am, correct.
And if anyone would love to work with you or be part of your program, how can they? I've got you up here, and I'll pop it into the show notes as well, hun, because I've got a chapter in the gratitude book as well.
Yeah, I have, yes, co-author in the gratitude book, which was a fantastic experience to be able to connect to that part. That yours was forgiveness, gratitude, all these beautiful attributes, that we can pass on our experience. And my story's in there, which is awesome. And you can find me under my name, so very much easy to find on Google. Life Coach Melbourne, I'll come up on the ranked quite high. I mean, that's part of the athlete, right? No, ranking.
But you've got the experience, you know what I mean? this is the same thing when, like I'm a weight loss expert for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like people are like, what are you doing? And now we're moving into the emotional eating, because it's not just about helping women yo-yo diet. It's about using our years of experience, but also as we've evolved and we've got more tools, we want to share that with the planet, because we've learned a thing or two, we've fallen over a few times, and we're constantly picking ourselves up, and we're lucky enough that we can access each other as coaches.
Yes,
we can
correct.
constantly upgrade our mindset, and that's something that we're doing all the time. So
practice what you preach. Big fan of practicing what I preach. And people love it when you say, I was in a trigger last week. It's just, we're all going through it. I'm still going through mine, and that's okay. I'm not at the end. I love the evolution and growth that comes with it.
I love the trigger. Like before, I'd be like, I don't want to be triggered, and even with the book launch, there was a massive trigger that came up half an hour before going on it. And how is that even possible? And then within 3 days, I'm like, I'm having another one. And now I just want to embrace it and release it, because what's beyond that brick wall that I've been holding for years and years? It's like, if I can get rid of that, wow, my whole life just upgrades and levels up, and I just love it. And then we get to, align with amazing, phenomenal other women out there. I love it.
Yeah. So, you can find me under my name, Anna Baylis.
And we'll drop that into the show notes anyway. So is there anything, one last final quote maybe that you'd love to share with people? What's one of your favorite quotes that maybe
one of mine is to move forward, you got to go within. You got to go inward to move forwards, because too often we focus on the outside, the external world, that bigger house, the job, the whatever it is external, that's going to bring happiness, that's going to make me feel better, but it's the internal. So going inwards to the emotions, to the mindset, to nurturing through nutrition, all these things that enable you then to move forward.
That's so good. Honey, this has been amazing, and I'm definitely seeing you on in 2023, because I know that you're going to be growing, I'm going to be growing, we're going to be able to help inspire each other. So thank you for giving us the time today and sharing your insights with us, because I know there's so many people that are going to listen to this today.
Thank you.
So many golden nuggets. So thank you for being so open.
Beautiful.
Thank you, honey.
Welcome. Thank you, much love. See ya.
If you loved this episode today, like if you loved it, even if you just liked it a little bit, that would help. We would love to ask you a huge favor. Can you please, a million times, please, subscribe to our channel.
Push the button below. Just push it now before you forget. Just go push it.
You can do it.
Because not only will you never miss an episode ever again.
Never.
You'll always be there. But then you'll also help other people find us, because the more people that watch us, the more people that will get our message, and then more people will be part of our podcast. Wouldn't that be awesome?
And we can't not see you and hear you every week, can we? We just can't. So just do it. Just do it.
Just push the button.
Eat the frog. Do it now.
It's right down there.
Go do it for us. That'll be like the best present you could ever give us. Thank you.
Bye.